Well, I decided to do a video on making kombucha. The way I do it, been doing it for about 2 years straight. Sometimes up to 3 batches a week or so. I'm only doing about 1 batch a week right now. And this video will be on making a 2-gallon batch. This is the container here. This is a 2-gallon container. You get this at Walmart for like $10-12. Comes with a glass lid, which you will not be using that lid. What we use is like to take like an old sheet, whatever, piece of material, big enough to cover the top, and I use I just string some rubber bands together, make a loop that'll go around the rim to hold the cloth over top. It has to breathe. If you have a lid like this on it, you'll get condensation in there, which will grow mold, which you don't want, of course. So we won't be using that. There's other kinds of teas you can use, but black tea works really well. You can go online and look, and there's all kinds of teas you can use and teas that you can't use, like Earl Grey. You can't use Earl Grey. There's an oil in it that will kill the mother. We'll get into that later on, what a mother is. But I just use regular black tea, like this, just like from Walmart. It's cheap and it works good. Or sometimes I buy organic black tea in bulk. You can buy a pound of it for about $15 on Amazon. Okay, so here's the 21 tea bags all ready to go. I like to tear the tags off and tie this together so I can get it out all at once. And then this needs to steep in boiling water for 5 minutes. And just use a pot like this, on the stove, and don't want to fill it up all the way because you're going to add sugar to this later. And also, you want to use purified water. There can't be any chlorine or fluoride or stuff like that in the water, because that'll hurt your mother, especially the chlorine. And so use purified water. I have a pure filter on the end of the tap on the sink, and I just use that. So steep that for 5 minutes. Just a few things about kombucha while waiting on the tea to steep. Stuff tastes really good, and it's really good for your body and your brain. Has kind of when it's just plain black tea and sugar like this is, by the way, that's your only 2 ingredients other than water, is just tea and sugar. You might be saying, what? But yep, that's it. It's the special chemical reactions of the mother that turn it into the kombucha. But yeah, it kind of has an apple cider flavor. It's really good. It's been around. The Chinese have been using it for over 2,000 years. They call it the Eternal Health Elixir. A couple hundred years ago or so, it came to Russia, and then this stuff has only been in the States since like the 1990s. So it's kind of relatively a new thing. But it's full of probiotics, which are great for your gut and your microbiome, which in turn is awesome for your brain. Because they're finding out through a lot of new research that there's a huge correlation between gut health and brain health. And if your gut's not healthy and you have autoimmune diseases or leaky gut or irritable bowel syndrome, Crohn's disease, any of that kind of stuff, you're not going to be quite set upstairs either, because it's all connected, man. So I don't mean that in a derogatory way or anything like that. It's just, you're going to have some struggles because, it's really, gut health is really important to brain health. I would invite you to go to Mercola.com and type in probiotics, or look at some of the work done by Dr. David Perlmutter. He's a world-renowned neurologist. He wrote a couple books. One of them was a New York Times bestseller called Grain Brain. And he talks a lot about the correlation between gut health and brain health. But yeah, so this is really awesome stuff. So after this stuff is steeped in tea, basically what you just made here is some really strong tea. Oh yeah, there goes my lens. It's all foggy now. Looks like I'm in London. So you just pull this out, let it drain a little bit. And just let it drip. Like I said, this is really strong tea at this point. And then I just put it in a little container here because we're going to put some more water in that later. I'll show you that. And then the next step here is going to add 5 cups of sugar to this. Now you might be thinking, whoa, 5 cups of sugar, you know, I don't want all that sugar or calories or whatever. But during the 11 to 14 days that this is fermenting, the bacteria consumes most of that sugar. And we're talking about good bacteria here, the kind of bacteria that you want. There's roughly 10 trillion or so, a couple pounds worth in your gut, and it's crucial. So 5 cups of sugar is added to this. Okay, so there's our 5 cups of sugar. Now I use this pure cane sugar. I get this at Walmart. All the Walmarts in my area around here where I live in Southeast Ohio carry this brand. But you can use just regular white processed sugar. I don't like processed food, so I try to go with something a little better. You can use organic, anything. Don't use honey though. Honey has its own bacterial profile, and I guess it just doesn't. It's not a good choice. So yeah, some type of granular sugar, 5 cups, and then just dump that into the kombucha and stir it up. And if you do it while it's still really hot, it mixes really. So yeah, you just stir that in. It doesn't take very long at all. So I'm just going to mix this up here. And I'll be right back. Okay, so the sugar's all mixed into the water along with the tea. And this is the 2-gallon jug. And this is ice I have in here. Probably, I don't know, 3 or 4 inches of ice in the bottom. And we're going to slowly pour the tea into this. The reason for the ice is that you cannot expose the mother to anything much over about 100 degrees. Or you'll kill it, which is not very hot at all. Like if the water even feels warm, it's too hot. It should feel cool. So I use maybe a little bit more ice than I need to, but that way I'm sure that it's not too hot. So it takes 2 hands to dump all that water in here. So I'm going to pour that water slowly over this ice. And then, when I was saying that, I slowly pour the tea and sugar mixture over the ice, I didn't mean like real slow or anything. And probably takes probably 20 seconds to pour the whole thing in, just so it doesn't splash and stuff. And this jar is made by Anchor Hawking. I think it's tempered somewhat anyway. I've never had a problem with it breaking because of the cold and the hot. But that is the reason I don't pour it in real fast. But I've never had a problem. It's pretty thick. So you just stir that up real good. And you can see that almost all that ice is melted. So it does take quite a bit to keep the temperature down like you want to. Let's see. Yeah, that's pretty cool there. Now another thing too about, you don't have to sterilize this jar or anything with boiling water or anything. Just normal kitchen cleanliness, wash it with soap and water is all. Because once the fermentation process starts and it gets going a little bit, there's nothing that's going to grow in there. And actually, when the kombucha is done, if you wanted to, you could use it to clean your bathroom or your kitchen counters. It's extremely antibacterial, and the batches that I've tested had a pH of about 4, so it's very acidic. So normal bacteria does not thrive in this stuff at all. So yeah, no need for super ultra cleanliness. Just normal kitchen cleanliness is fine. Okay, so this is a batch of kombucha that's been fermenting for about I think it's 12 days today. They usually go like 11 to 14, more like 11, you know, in the summer, like, depends on how much you use your air conditioning. If it's warmer in your home in the summer, you know, it ferments a little quicker. So, you know, you can just kind of adjust it. If you let it go too long, it'll get a kind of a bit of a vinegary flavor to it. I think vinegar is made with the same type of a process using a mother. Now, I know this looks dirty. It's just tea stains because it has gotten some kombucha on it before. Sometimes the CO2 that's made during the fermenting process will build up under the mother and make it hump up, and then it touches the cloth. And now, if you're the squeamish type, you're just going to have to suck it up because this is part of the process. This is the magic. This is what makes kombucha kombucha. This is the mother. It's also called a SCOBY, which is an acronym. SCOBY stands for Symbiotic Colony of Bacteria and Yeast. And that's just what it is, bacteria and yeast. And this is what, along with the sugar and the tea, form all those great little acids that are in the kombucha. Something else I forgot to mention about kombucha is it has natural ingredients in them, like glucosamine chondroitin stuff. So it's really good on your joints. I noticed a difference after a couple months. Like with any natural product, it's not overnight. Like, you know, taking a pill, it takes a while to undo what's been done when you're doing it the right way. You're actually healing and not just covering up symptoms like what pharmaceuticals do. Yeah, that stuff is great for your joints, along with your gut. But this is a thick gelatinous material that will form on top, and it'll get thicker with each batch. But I throw layers of mine away each time to keep it from getting too thick, because then that cuts down on the amount of kombucha I get out of my batches. I get about, even though they say it's a 2-gallon jar, I get almost 9 quarts out of this. 8 quarts is 2 gallons. So I'm going to take the SCOBY out here in a second and get you a little bit better view of it. But like I said, if you're squeamish, you know, it's worth getting over it for the health benefits of this stuff. But some people don't like this aspect of it. Let's see, I don't know if I can. So here's the SCOBY, or the mother, after I fished it out of the kombucha. And as you can see, the color changes. There's the fresh batch that we were making earlier. It looks like just some real dark tea is what it is, just a real concentrated sweet tea. But then after the 12 days, it's got more of a brownish amber type color to it. I don't know what exactly causes that, but it always does it. Nothing to worry about there. But yeah, this is your SCOBY. And, you know, it might have some brown spot scent like this. That's nothing to worry about. There's also going to be some dead yeast in the bottom, and there's some here around the top. This is just dead yeast. That's all that is. Nothing to worry about. And I strain it to get most of that stuff out. I strain it through some cheesecloth when I bottle it, which I'll show you that. But yeah, this grows in layers. You get like a layer every time you do a batch, and it'll get real thick. But what I'll do is I'll throw one of these layers away. So that's a kombucha mother, or SCOBY.